Hello, this is Brian Begley from nCloud9. Can everybody hear me? If so, please raise your hand on the GoToWebinar screen. Thanks, Patrick. I guess you can hear me. So, okay, great. We're going to get started right now. Thank you all for taking some time out of your day today to attend our webinar. I'm Brian Begley, a Dynamics 365 consultant at nCloud9. Our topic today is how to use and the best practices for the new Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. Before we begin, a little housekeeping. We've muted all of our attendees. It looks like we have about 50 people on hand today. So during the presentation, I'm going to focus on my presentation. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the question area in the GoToWebinar tool. I'm going to try to get to as many questions as possible within the time we have allotted. And if I can't get to your question, I'm going to respond to your email in the next 24 hours. So once again, I'm Brian Begley. I have 12 years experience with the Dynamics 365 platform. I'm very impressed with the innovation that Microsoft is putting into this platform over the past few years. Last week, many of you might have attended our webinar reviewing the Dynamics 365 Unified Interface, which is going to be in the next year or so replacing the classic user interface that you're all used to working with Microsoft Dynamics 365. If you missed that webinar, visit our blog or our YouTube page to review the webinar. Today's webinar is going to expand on some information we provided during that webinar, and we're going to talk about the new app for Outlook. This new app for Outlook, it's going to replace the Outlook add-in that you've all been using over the years to track emails. And in the next year or so, many people will probably start beginning to switch over to this app, as it has a lot more features than the current application people are using to track emails, appointments, contacts, and other records from Outlook into Dynamics 365. So with that, I'm going to get started with my slides. We only have a few slides today that we're going to go through. And here we go. So a little bit about us, Dynamics 365 partners since about 2006 or so. We are silver cloud partners with Microsoft. We work with companies throughout the US and Canada, and all we work on is Dynamics 365 with a focus on cloud-based clients. Oh, I just realized I'm not showing my screen. So here we are. Now you all see my screen here. Apologize for that. So once again, just a little bit about nCloud9. Let's get started. So we're going to get right into the add-in versus the app. So for years, Microsoft has provided a tool called the Dynamics 365 add-in for Outlook that many of you use to track emails, appointments, tasks, contacts, all from Outlook into Dynamics CRM or Dynamics 365. It was a good app in its time. It was something that was groundbreaking because it allowed end users, people who are using Dynamics 365, to easily track their records from Outlook into CRM so that they could keep track of all their interactions with their customers. Over the years, however, people have grown less enamored of it because of numerous reasons. One is it's an older technology. It's what we would call a COM app. It had to be installed on each computer that the organization wanted the person to track emails from. We would run into support issues all the time where the Outlook app would deactivate itself without any notification. So you'd be starting up your Outlook and there'd be no CRM there, and there'd be no notification to let you know that it had not loaded itself. So you end up having to call on support to reload it for you, which is always fun to do. Another bad feature of the old add-in for Outlook is that you could only track records from one computer. So if you worked from a desktop while you're in the office to a mobile laptop while you're out of the office you could only use one of those computers to track emails, made for just a difficult situation that was not easy to do. Finally, another issue we had was that there was no way to track emails from your phone. There was no way to track anything from your phone to Dynamics 365. And the last point is, and we're going to show you how the improvements is, it was very clicky. In order to set an email regarding an opportunity, it might take 4 or 5 clicks. We're going to show you how with the new app that could be all done in pretty much one click, where you can take an email and track it against an opportunity. So on my second column here, we talk about the features of the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. So with the Dynamics 365 app, you can track and set regarding emails, appointments. I should also say you can also track contacts from Outlook to Dynamics 365. One thing you can't do today is you can't track tasks. I'm sure that will be coming in the next few months as Microsoft is continually improving this application. You can also use it to create new CRM records. So you can create new contacts, leads. You can, from the app, you can create new accounts and opportunities and leads and all sorts of records that you normally would in CRM. You can view all of your CRM data from within the app. It has to be exposed by your IT group, your partner, to make it available to you to view, but you can see your opportunities, you can work with opportunities, leads, accounts, contacts, cases, all from the Outlook app. So you're still able to, if you're a salesperson and you love working in Dynamics, but only through Outlook, you can still work that way. You can still do pretty much everything you can do on the web-based Outlook in your Outlook app. It also does work on all different form factors. So you can install it on your desktop, your laptop, you can have it working on your mobile device, on a tablet, and you can all track emails from all of those devices. So we've gone away with that issue that previously was available on didn't work very well on the add-in. Also for administrators, it's very easy to manage. Since it's a web app, it's installed for the entire organization once, and then it rolls out automatically to eligible users. And it's just something that's available in the ribbon as people are using it. There's automated resolutions of contacts, leads, and accounts. So what does that mean? Well, when we go through our webinar, I'm going to show you that when I click on an email in Outlook, it's going to automatically find that this email is tied to this account in CRM, or this contact, or this lead record. And it's also going to show me related records. So it makes it very easy to track an email that comes in today against an opportunity that I might have open. Also, you have one-click set regarding. We kind of talked about that. It's very easy to set an email regarding a record in CRM. And finally, we're going to talk about category tracking, and I'll show you how that works. Category tracking makes records visible in Outlook. And this is something that your administrator has to turn on for your system. This is kind of like in the add-in for Outlook, we had the little icon of the 2 people that lets you know that the record is being tracked from Outlook to CRM. Now there's a category-based tracking that'll show just a category color in your emails, in your appointments, that the record's being tracked. So this has to be turned on by your administrator, so you might want to talk to your administrator about doing that. And we have some resources at the end to discuss how to turn that on. So our next slide, let's just talk really quickly about the prerequisites of using this app. I'm going to just say this, that the best experience is to use this with Office 365. If you use Office 365, you can have the Outlook app up and running within an hour of billable time. It uses server-side sync, which is the direct integration of your Exchange mailbox with Dynamics 365, makes this a very reliable connection between the 2 applications. when you're looking here at my mailbox record, I'm showing in CRM. So these would be the settings you want to have set up. So you want to have your incoming email, your outgoing email, and your appointments and contacts and tasks all set to server-side sync for this to work. And then all you need to do is test as an administrator is to have them test and enable your mailbox. Once that happens, it'll automatically roll out the Dynamics 365 app to your Outlook. So it'll just be there. You won't have to do anything to make it work. So next, I'm going to show you a little bit of the email experience. I'm going to switch over to my Outlook in a moment here. So when we have email, we've talked about this, the app will automatically resolve email address to a lead contact or account. So for example, I received this email from Microsoft, a woman named Karen. As you'll see, it showed me that it does not know who this person is. It's an unknown recipient. I can click on a little icon that of the plus button here, allows me to create new contact or a new lead from emails that are not recognized. If it did recognize the email, I would have Karen's information showing here and who she is and what company she works at. Once you've tracked an email, you can create related records. So you can create a task to do a follow-up from an email that comes in. You can create other follow-up activities. You can create opportunities. We're going to show you that. When you reply to an email that comes in from a customer or from anybody, you could also attach knowledge base articles, email templates, and sales literature. So you can use those. If you've already built those out in your CRM, you can continue to use those. So I'm going to switch over to my Outlook screen here now. Okay, and I have my Outlook showing here. So as you see, I have my Dynamics 365 running. Now, the way you can start Dynamics 365 in Outlook is there's a button in your ribbon. Click on it to turn Dynamics on or off. So I've turned Dynamics 365 on. I have an email here that just came in from a person named Kristen Caniglia. And so I'm going to take this email that came in and I'm going to turn on Dynamics 365. When I click it on, Dynamics 365 is going to load, and it found that Kristen is in here as a user. So we're going to switch to another user here. We're going to go with Sharon Cook here. Sharon Cook wants to sell me lists of Dynamics 365 users. Or here, no, I'm sorry, that was the wrong email. Okay, we're going to go with this email from CoSchedule. So I just received an email from CoSchedule, and I want to track this in CRM. So I click on Dynamics 365. Now, one thing I want to show you is by clicking on this pin here, we'll keep the application open and running at all times. If we don't have that pin here, as I move from email to email, as you saw, the application closes and I have to reopen it. I usually, when I'm working, I keep the application pinned and running at all times. So I have an email that came in from Whitney at coschedule.com. Now, I don't know who Whitney is, but let's say this email said she's interested in purchasing some of my products. What I could do here is I would click on the plus button and I could say, well, what do I want to do? I want to add her as a contact or I want to add her as a lead. If I click on add her as a lead, it's going to open up the quick create form for the lead. And I could just say interested in Dynamics. And I could put in a job title for Whitney, and I'll just say she's the owner, and I'll put in a company name, CoSchedule. And if I misspell things, I'm not going to make any changes. I can copy address fields in and add there. At this point, all I've done now is created a lead for this record. So now I'm showing that I have a lead created for Whitney in Dynamics 365. At this point, I could say I want to track this email, and I want to, by clicking on the three dots here, I've said I want to set this email regarding Whitney. And when I do that, what's going to happen in the background is that this email is going to be tracked into CRM, and I could and what you will see eventually is this colored icon here, for example, from this email that shows that this email is tracked regarding. you'll see that this colored square means that this email has now been tracked in CRM. So if you see that, it now shows that this email has now been tracked in CRM. Now, we did get an email from Kristen here. I want to reply back to her. She said, Brian, could you show me how to create a case? So I'm going to take this email that she sent to me, and I'm going to send her a knowledge base article. I'm going to reply back to her. Now, the way you could do that is you could click on the reply button, and we're going to reopen Dynamics 365. You know what, this is not going to work because she's an inside user. So we're going to reply to this email from Evan here. For some reason, I've lost my pin here, so I'm having some issues with that. There it is. Okay, so I want to send an email to Evan that includes instructions on how to create a case. So I can go up on this ribbon along the top here, and I have this icon here of a piece of paper folded over. I can click on that, and then from here I can say, I want to add a template, I want to add sales literature, I want to add a knowledge base article. So I'm going to click on knowledge base article. I could search for one, or I could use my lookups and find the new knowledge base article that we've created about creating and managing cases in Dynamics 365. I click select, and what it does is it copies that knowledge base article that we've created into the email, and then I can click send, and that email goes out to Evan, and it'll also be automatically tracked when I send out that email to the customer. Another thing I can do from here is I can update records for our clients. So we have an email here that came in today from Brenda. Now, Brenda is one of our clients, and when I look at this email, it was automatically tracked against Brenda's contact record in CRM, but I noticed that there's some information that's not visible on her contact card. So for example, this is her contact information in Dynamics. It has her phone number, it doesn't have her mobile phone number, and it doesn't have her job title. So I could click on her name, and when I click on her name, it's actually going to open up her contact record. And I can go in here and I could say, well, in here it says she's the marketing lead. So I'm going to update her job title to marketing lead. And I'm going to then say that record will save. And when I go back to set regarding, what we should see is it now shows that I've updated her contact record with her job title, and it's showing me that. This information that you see here is customizable. You can determine what 3 fields you want to show here. So in our case, we've shown that for this contact record, we're showing her job title, her work phone number, and her mobile phone number. Now, I want to show you a couple other things. Within here, we have our contact information. It also shows that this email that Brenda works at a client of ours. We can click on the link here, and when I click on the links in the chain, it shows us this will then track this email. Instead of tracking against Brenda's contact record, it's going to track it against her account, the parent account level. So it's as simple as that to switch who you're setting your email regarding to. So that's basically tracking emails within Dynamics CRM. I'm going to go now to our next section, which is about tracking appointments. Appointments also can be tracked from your Outlook. The best way that I found to do it is to open up your calendar, and we're going to go to today's meeting here. And I have I had a GoToWebinar this morning with Microsoft. So I'm going to open this GoToWebinar, and I would click on Dynamics 365 logo in the appointment. It's also going to go to try to find Dave's name in CRM. It didn't find him here, so I could add him now as a contact. So we're going to say Dave, MVP, and I'm going to save that record. At that point, I could track this email against this record. and it's going to save this email for me. It's going to save that new contact record, and it's going to track this appointment against his contact record in CRM that I just created. One thing you should notice is we showed you in Outlook for emails, when you track an email in Outlook, the color of the app, that there's that, I think it's a purplish color. I'm colorblind, so please forgive me. But when you track an appointment into Dynamics 365, the actual color of the appointment changes to the color that you've chosen for your categories in Dynamics 365. So that's how I can tell by looking at this calendar that these appointments have been tracked in Dynamics 365. And I can tell these that are light blue all have not been tracked in Dynamics 365. So that's pretty simple, just like creating, tracking contacts, tracking emails. It's all very simple. The next thing I want to show you is how to track a contact from your Outlook to Dynamics 365. And if you're used to using the old version of the Outlook add-in, you remember that what we used to do, we could go to a contact record, we could click on that record and click track in CRM, or we could click up here and click track in CRM, and then we could attach it to a particular account record that exists in Dynamics 365. It's a little bit different in the new version, a little bit clunkier, I believe, to be honest, and I hope they do get a better experience. Here's how you track contacts from your Outlook into Dynamics 365. So you click on the three dots here in your Outlook, and it's going to bring up additional apps you might have. So I'm going to click on here where it says add-ins. And when I click on add-ins, it's going to bring me up a couple of lists here. And I'm going to just unfilter this list and refresh it. And what it's going to show me, it's going to show me all of my current Outlook contacts. And I can see contacts over here on the left that are not tracked because I've set a filter, just show me untracked contacts. I can change this filter to show me all contacts that I have in my Outlook. Any ones that say tracked have been tracked in Dynamics. Any ones that say not tracked have not been tracked in Dynamics. So I want to go forward and I'm going to quickly look for untracked contacts. So I'm going to go through my list here, and I have a contact here, Amy Wagner, who works at a company called VoIP Quote. I want to track her into Dynamics 365. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on her email address, and I'm going to click track. And what it'll do, it now change this from tracked to untracked to tracked. We can also link this email or this contact to a company record in Dynamics 365. Because when you track it by just clicking on the track button, there's no link set between this and a parent company. So to link this to a parent company in Dynamics, you click on the link button, and you'll see over on the right, it's going to pop out a list of accounts in Dynamics 365. It's going to show you your first 15 accounts by default. You can search here for different accounts. So I'm going to say VoIP Quote. We're going to see if VoIP Quote exists in Dynamics. And it looks like we do have an account in Dynamics called VoIP Quote. So I click that to select that record, and now I'm going to click Link. And while I'm doing that, it's tracking that contact record for Amy into CRM and linking her to the VoIP Quote company record in CRM. So I'm going to click on VoIP Quote here. What that's going to do, it's going to bring us into Dynamics 365. And while that's loading, now it may not track immediately. It takes up to 15 minutes for those trackings to occur. But you'll see that we have an account record in here called VoIP Quote, and we actually have two Amy Wagners in CRM. One is the one I just tracked, and one is one that must have already existed that wasn't synced down to my Outlook as a tracked record. But that's how simple it is. I'm not in love with this process that Microsoft has built. I liked, to be honest, it's one of the things I liked about the older app is how easy it was to track a contact from the regular contact list into Dynamics 365. So hopefully as time goes along, Microsoft is going to improve this functionality. So my next section I'm going to talk about is how to work with Dynamics 365 data while you're in Outlook. To do that, we're going to go back, we're going to leave this app here, we're going to go to our inbox, and we're going to go look at some ways you can work with your records in Dynamics 365 in Outlook. So when we opened up this Dynamics 365 window, it opens up as a very small window. We saw that if I click on somebody's name in their contact, it's going to open up their CRM contact form. But what we can do is work with much more information than that. So I'm going to show you that, for example, if you click on the hamburger menu here in the upper left corner, you actually have a sitemap here. And the sitemap allows you to expose different entities in Dynamics 365 in this application. Now, out of the box, the only ones that are visible are dashboards, accounts, and contacts. What we did at nCloud9 is we added a few extra areas within Dynamics 365 so that I could, for example, take a look at our cases in Dynamics 365 from Outlook. So here, I'm going to do a restart here because something seems to not be working right here. Okay, so we're back here. I'm going to try to reopen. I'm here. Craig's contact record popped in because Craig, one of our clients, just sent us an email. When I click on his name, it brings us to his contact record. So from here, I can update information. I can view his location on a map. I can look at the timeline of Dynamics 365, so I can try and see all of our recent interactions with Craig. So I have pretty much the full functionality of Dynamics 365 within here. I can go in here, look at cases. I can look at projects. I can look at leads. I can look at my open task list and work from here. So if I have a task that I need to look at, I can open it up and I can mark that as complete. And it works just as if I was working through the web app. Okay. So one thing I would recommend is that you do customize this sitemap, and we're going to show you how to do that in the next couple minutes here. How to customize the sitemap to add the entities you use so that you can work with CRM. Also from within the sitemap, there's a couple other features I like up here. If you're in an email here and you're looking at something else, like looking at a list of your tasks, and you want to go back to where you track the email, click on this home button. It'll take you back to where you started out. Now, I do want to show you when we're in Craig's contact record. This is one thing I do like. It shows us recent cases we've had with the customer. So let's say Craig sent this email to me and I want to track it against this case. I just click on the link button and I've set this email now regarding this particular case. That's how easy it is. In our older version of the Outlook add-in, you would have to click on set regarding, you would have to switch to case, you would have to find the case that you're working with, and that is probably about 5 or 6 clicks just to get to the point. I did it in 1 click because Dynamics surfaces all the related cases, related opportunities, all records related to the email address of the person who's sending you the email. Also from inside this record, you can use Quick Create. So I can do activities. I can create new accounts, cases, contacts. Also from within here, since I've tracked this email against this case, I could maybe create a follow-up task because I want to have a task to call Craig tomorrow to follow up on this case or on the email he sent to me. So I click on these 3 dots here in the regarding record, and I could say I want to add an activity. I click Add Activity. I could choose from task, appointment, or phone call. So I'm going to add a task. It brings up my task my task quick create form. It grabs the text from the email, as you see, and puts it into the description box of the task. So it makes it easy to just create a task. I'm going to schedule this task to be completed tomorrow, and we're going to change the time from midnight to noon instead. And we have some customizations that we've added that we can actually easily create a case from here. So if we wanted to turn this into this email into a brand new case, we could click on the yes button, and when we save this, it'll create a new case for us for this client. And we'll also set this email regarding that case. So you can make customizations, you can run workflows, everything you can do in full Outlook on the web, on your mobile device, you can do from here. So there's one more thing I do want to show you about working with dynamic CRM data. It's something I only found out over the last 24 hours while I was preparing for this webinar. Is if you've turned on the relationship insights setting for your Dynamics 365, that you can see your relationship insights in here. So for example, if I click on my 3 dots here, it brings up Relationship Assistant. And when I do that, what happens is it pops up with a little window that shows all of my things that are due for today. So for example, it shows that I have a meeting at 2, which is the meeting we're in. And then I have a meeting at 4. I have a phone call scheduled at 5 o'clock. I have a couple opportunities where the close date has currently passed, and we need to, might want to go look at those opportunities. It gives me the names of them, and I can look at them. So I really like this relationship assistant because it does allow me from here to see my most important activities that I need to work on today. And it will show you tasks, phone calls, meetings, anything that you set up in relationship assistant, which is a whole nother webinar that we should probably schedule maybe in the new year. So that's how to work with the data in CRM. Now I'm going to show you how to customize the app to meet your needs. It's pretty straightforward, and we're going to have to log into Dynamics 365. So I'm going to log into my CRM system. And when we log in, we want to go to our customization. So we're going to go to Settings, Customization, and customize the system. When that happens, it's going to open up the customization tool. If you're all customizers of Dynamics, you've seen this before. You want to go down on your left-hand side to where it says Model-Driven Apps. And under Model-Driven Apps, and this is what we're going to be talking about in next week's webinar on how to work with apps and hubs in Dynamics 365. We're going to show you how to customize these to meet your users' needs. But today we're just going to focus on one app, which is the Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to bring up my app designer. Now the app designer shows us what we can do in Dynamics 365 app for Outlook. So we have 3 primary components. We have the first thing is the sitemap. The second item is the dashboards that are visible. And then the third item is the entities that we are going to include in this application. Now, just because an entity shows here does not mean it's visible to your end users. You actually have to add them to the sitemap in order to make them visible. So we've added, by default, we have accounts, activities, appointments, campaigns, competitors. All these different areas have been added. Now, if I want to edit my sitemap to add another record to be visible when my users are in Outlook, I would click on the sitemap designer. Now, this is all new, and this is an easy way to modify what you see when you're in Dynamics 365, the sitemap. So let's say I want to add a new area to my customer service area. I want to add knowledge base articles. So I would click on the area that I'm working in. So I'm going to click in service, and then I'm going to click add, and I'm going to choose click sub area. It's going to ask, what am I looking to add here? Now, by default, I'm going to choose to add an entity, but I could also add dashboards, web resources, or even external URLs. I'm going to choose to add an entity. And then I choose which entity I'm looking to add here. I think I said knowledge base articles. So I scroll through my list of knowledge till I find knowledge base articles. I have to give it a title. And so I'm going to say KB articles. Okay, so I click on KB articles and I'm going to click save. And then I'm going to publish my changes. Okay, I'm going to go back to my app designer. And I'm going to click on validate to ensure that everything's good. It has some warnings, but none of these are warnings that will stop us from preventing to do this. So we're just going to click play. That's going to publish this out there. I'm going to close this here. And we are going to close the app designer. And now I'm going to restart Outlook. And when I restart Outlook, what I should see is that the knowledge base articles are going to be visible to us. Okay, so I'm going to go into Dynamics 365 tool here. You notice that because I pinned it down, it starts automatically with it opened. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. And when I click down here, I'm going to see knowledge base articles. So from here, I can click KB articles and I can see the different records that I use. So I'd encourage everybody who wants to deploy this to their company to personalize the sitemap so that it fits their end users, so that when you have the sales guys who just love working out of Outlook and never want to go into the Dynamics 365 web app, that they have access to all of the records they need to see to get their jobs done during the day. Now, one thing that I have found as a gotcha is, even though it says dashboards up here, I found that if I add any dashboards to this, the system kind of becomes unstable. Right now, dashboards this is the Outlook app dashboard. It's this tool here you see where we're doing the tracking of records as they come in is the dashboard. I found that if I edit the sitemap and add some other dashboards like a customer service dashboard or a sales dashboard, it just doesn't work. It becomes very unstable. I don't see everything I'm expecting to see. So for the most part, I would recommend if you do edit the sitemap for the Outlook app that you avoid putting any dashboards in here for now. Maybe you could put some dashboards down here, but I would avoid putting them up in the dashboards area up top. Okay, so that's pretty much the webinar of what I was looking to show you today. If you have any questions, please start asking them away in the question box. I have one question already that I'm going to take a look at here. And the question was, how do we integrate it? And it's from Ashwin. I'm assuming, how do we start using this application? How do we deploy it to Dynamics 365? I'm going to send you a link that I have that will give you the instructions on how to install this into Dynamics 365 so that it's available to your end users. But one of the most important steps in that is making sure that your users' mailboxes all are using server-side sync, and that you've set the app to roll down to all your users. But Ashwin, I'll send you an email with a article that I have on the full instructions on linking these two apps together. Any other questions? Okay, we have one more question, which is, can we use this app with older versions of Dynamics 365? And the answer is, right now, if you're using Dynamics 365 online, you're all being updated to Dynamics 365 9.0. There is an older version of this app that works with the 8.2 version. And that is what most people who also have CRM on-premise are using. If you're using CRM on-premise, I don't believe this app is available to you. I think you still need to use the Outlook app, the Outlook add-in. However, Microsoft in October or November released the Dynamics 365 9.0 update for on-premise users, which does include unified interface and also then includes this app as well. So if you're using Dynamics 365 on-premise, I would update to CRM 9.0 in order to get this experience. Okay, any other questions here today? No? All right, so I'm going to switch my screen here. I'm just going to show you a couple of resources we've put together. If you have any questions that you have, feel free to contact us at support@ncloud9.com. That will get you right to one of our support people who can get you the questions that you have answered. If you want to learn about upcoming events, we have one more event scheduled, and it's for next Wednesday. It's on building Power Apps and hubs in Dynamics 365. We're going to expand on what we kind of showed you when we were editing the web, the app for Outlook. One resource, and I've included this in the PowerPoint, is Aaron Richards is a Microsoft employee who wrote an 8-part series on using the Outlook app. It's probably the most detailed blog series I've ever read on anything related to Dynamics 365. If you Google CRM in the field, you'll get to his website, and you can read his articles. They're very in-depth. There's a lot of really good information in those, and I spent a lot of time reading them while I prepared for this webinar. One thing we did talk about a little further down, category-based tracking. If you do want to have that notification, that little square that shows you've tracked your emails in Dynamics 365, you're going to need to turn on category-based tracking. And I have a URL for that, but I'm going to be sending out these slides to everybody who has attended. So, I don't expect you to take the time to write that down. And that's really it. You have my contact information there. You can connect with me at LinkedIn if you're interested in keeping up with my latest information about Dynamics 365. Please feel free to do. So thank you all for your questions, and thank you all for taking your time today to attend our webinar. Feel free to get a hold of me or anyone else at nCloud9 if you have any questions, or if you're looking to deploy the Outlook app in your Dynamics 365. We'd love to help you out. And with that, I say thank you very much and have a great day. Goodbye.